Hello, my name is Ricardo Castañeda, and today I'm making a presentation about La Virgen de Guadalupe. And just wanted to talk about how it's such an important image all over the world, but especially in Mexico, which I'm going to be focusing on in this presentation. Like if you've ever taken step into a Mexican household, you've probably seen this image as well as on TV shows. In La Rosa de Guadalupe, you see the image in every single episode, and it's massively successful, popular TV show. And then I also have a screenshot from the movie Blue Beetle, which came out this year. And it's about a Mexican family, and you can see the painting in their house, which reflects how it is in actual Mexican households too. But that also brings up a couple of questions about the image. Uh, who painted La Virgen de Guadalupe? Which when is it painted? Where was it made? And then I think the most important question was why is it so important to Mexican culture? Because again, you see it everywhere. And I think just to start off the presentation, you need to start from the beginning because a lot of them could be answered just from the history of it. So this is the most well-known interpretation, a story that a majority of people know, which is the story of Juan Diego. And I'm going to summarize it really, really quick. Juan Diego was walking on a hill in Tepeyac, and La Virgen appeared to him and told Juan Diego, "Oh, tell the bishop to build a church here." So Juan Diego did exactly that. Um, and the bishop just did not believe him. Was like, "Oh, that did not happen." So La Virgen appeared to Juan Diego once again and it told him to pick up flowers around the hill and take them to the bishop. And this story takes place in December too, so flowers don't aren't supposed to be growing there. But as you can see in the image, um, Juan Diego did exactly that. Picked up the flowers, took them to the bishop, and took them to the bishop and went, "Oh, I was told La Virgen told me to bring you these." And he let's go of the all the roses and the flowers that he collected, and it like prints out an image, the painting. This is the painting of La Virgen de Guadalupe. Goes to the bishop. Bishop was shocked and was like, "This is a sign." Built the church eventually. So this is where that painting is housed in Mexico. That's at Basilica de Guadalupe, which is where it's at today. Um, and although that's the most known story or history of the painting, I think it's also important to acknowledge the other interpretations. So a lot of art historians may give this interpretation. This is La Virgen de Guadalupe, but this was in Spain. This is Spain's Virgen of Guadalupe, and I think it's important to acknowledge this one just because this one was first recorded in 1325. And of course, this one that we acknowledged, I forgot to mention that La Virgen appeared to Juan Diego on December 9th and then again on December 12th of 1531. So there's a over 100 years in the differences of those years. Um, and there's a lot of similarities from this one and the painting that we were discussing earlier. Um, Most notably the dark skin on the figure. And then I think it's also important to point out that a lot of our historians say that um, La Virgen de Guadalupe was painted by an indigenous man. So in the Juan Diego story, it's believed that God painted the image because it was God's flowers, and the flowers stained the cloth and just made the painting. But a lot of art historians would interpret this as being painted by an indigenous man, for a majority of reasons. One of the biggest reasons being that flowers just aren't able to do that. The stains that they had at the time just wouldn't you wouldn't be able to paint this with flowers. But of course, that's just the two interpretations. Neither one is right or wrong. And that takes us back to the biggest question that I stated earlier, which is why is it such a big deal for Mexican people? Why do we see it on TV? Why do we see it in the movies? Why do we see it in every household? To answer the question, I actually looked into this book, Our Lady of Everyday Life by Maria del Socorro Castaneda Lyles. And just from the beginning of the book, there's plenty of examples of how that image, that painting is seen in everyday lives of Mexican people. In one example, the author is at a cafe, sees a woman studying for an exam, and goes into her bag and takes out notes, but also takes out a prayer card with the image of La Virgen de Guadalupe, and she puts it underneath her notes while she was studying, and she says, "So La Virgen can help us pass the exam." Like, so people carry that image with them and pray to that image or like hope that image helps them in their everyday life. And then another example that also stood out to me was later in the book, the author interviews an immigrant woman or immigrant people, really, uh, and asked, "What does Our Lady of Guadalupe mean to you?" And most responded, "La Virgen de Guadalupe is Madre de todos los mexicanos," so mother of all Mexicans. Which I think is also important to point out that uh, the people of Mexico um, look at the image and think of motherhood, think of a powerful woman figure, um, because that's really what it is. Uh, two really important reasons why it's such a powerful and iconic image, especially for the time that it was made in. You wouldn't see images of powerful women or mothers. And then, of course, another big reason is the color of her skin, because she has darker skin. I read an article by Miguel Latham, and Latham explains that people connect the dark skin to indigenous roots. So people say that they think of they see an indigenous person as opposed to someone after the Spaniards came to Mexico, um lighter skin, Europeans, right? Um so when they see this painting, they say, "Oh, well, an indigenous person." They also see it as, again, a mother and a protector. A protector is also a really good word, especially for like um in the story of Juan Diego, like La Virgen de Guadalupe is seen as a protector. Um, and then another big reason why this is such like, a important image to the people in Mexico is because it's so closely tied with faith, which might seem obvious, but it's important to point out. A lot of the paintings at the time when this image was made were all religious paintings, and that's for a lot of reasons. One of the biggest reasons is when the Spaniards came to Mexico, they introduced the religion. I don't know if introduce is the right word. It was kind of forced on them, like, "Oh, these are our paintings, this is our faith. Now you guys need to practice this." But of course, this image stood out to a lot of Mexicans because of all the reasons I stated previously. And this is also a graph I found. Mexico is still a very, very, very Catholic country. So this is 72% of people claim to be Catholic in Mexico. So that really connects to a lot of the examples I gave earlier. So the woman who had the prayer card carries that along with her, um, having it in every household because these are all like religious people who very closely um hold that image with them. They want to carry it with them. Um, and just to summarize everything, this is my last slide. Some people could even argue that this image is equally as important to the Mexican flag. It's held at a very high standard. It's celebrated. It's such an important image. And again, just to summarize, like why it's so important to people, indigenous backgrounds of it. It's an indigenous figure in the image. Um, it showcases powerful women. It showcases a protector and it showcases motherhood. Um, and of course, there's just a lot of history, a lot of mystery to it too. A lot of interpretations. Not all the answers are clear, but it's um it's iconic. That's about it.